Hello, good afternoon. This is WBS Afternoon Edition. I am Anita Mwanguzi, and it's good to have you join us today. The Uganda Women Parliamentary Association, UWOPA, wants government to set up strict measures that would cut down the increasing domestic violence cases and affirmative action in the country. The women activists think that the surging domestic violence is due to weaker laws in place that need to be amended to address the problem. The women legislators made this call while traversing Katonga region on a sensitization campaign on domestic violence and affirmative action bid. We'll bring you the details.
Led by Butambala woman representative Mariam Nalubega, the Association of Uganda Women Parliamentary Association, UWOPA, revealed that domestic violence in the recent days has spurred to 59%, a worrying trend in the country that need immediate attention from government. While this may be the case, affirmative action remains at 15%. This without excluding rape and defilement cases committed by either relatives or strangers, staggering at 20%. However, the women parliamentarians under their umbrella organization UWOPA are convinced that the problem is due to immense weaknesses in the investigation process of rape and defilement cases, as well as absence of forensic surgeons. This has seen insufficient evidence and cases collapsing in courts of law.
Surgeons are actually very inadequate in the country. People cannot access them so easily. So we have found it very difficult to implement the Evidence Act vis-à-vis the Domestic Violence Act in the form of sexual abuse. The recommendation that's coming out is that at least the clinical officer or a district health officer should be the one to administer the test on a victim and also testify in court.
56% of Ugandan women encounter domestic violence, and this happens in our homes, and this happens between our partners. This happens to men as well. Initially it was women who would go under this vice, but of late even men are experiencing domestic violence.
With the matter of evidence remaining a major challenge to prove in the courts of law, these women activists now are pushing for an Evidence Act they want to be tabled on the floor of Parliament. However, a majority of them are not aware that the law of evidence exists.
This we think is not sufficient enough. We would like government to also include medical practitioners to be able to collaborate and also give evidence and be witnesses in court in cases of sexual violence.
So that the Evidence Act, for you to report a case of rape or defilement, you must prove. And for you to prove, there has to be a police report, whereby it's a police surgeon who has to administer the test and also write a report, and at the same time testify in court about the offense or the act.
In another development, Nalubega holds the view that the absence of legitimate LC1 structures has also called for gross lawlessness in communities.
This LC1 election should have happened the other time during 2011, but there was an issue of the law. We amended the law, then the issues of finances came up, and now we see it's very late now to conduct an LC1 election this time when you are going into the 2016 general election. So we are looking forward to see the LC1 elections take place in 2016 during the general elections.
Participants observed that it's going to be an uphill task to address the problem without legitimate local leadership.
Presidential spokesperson Tamale Mirundi has spilled the beans on what could have gone wrong in the handling of the standard gauge railway project and why President Museveni picked an interest in this particular deal. However, in this interview, Tamale Mirundi also acknowledges that indeed, State House is now a clearing agency where investors first meet the president for approval before making any investment in the country. He says this is the standard practice world over. Heads of states determine who should invest in the country through lobbying.
And do you know how many losses the president has caused to this country?
Which one?
As a result of turning State House into a clearing agency.
Which one?
Look at the Katosi.
Which one?
Hold on.
Let me tell you.
Hold on.
Yes.
Hold on. Are you aware that the president met some of these fake Etao officials in the State House?
No. Let me tell you. This is where you reduce the problem. Meeting the president is not important, but the president did not decide. In fact, when you read my book, Killing a Medical Doctor to Save a Cobra, I tell you the culprits. The culprits are the Solicitor General, who selected the company, fake company. The culprits are the side director. The culprits are the housing finance. Do you know that housing finance guaranteed this bogus company? That in case it fails to perform, we shall pay. It's only because Kabushenga has deliberately not published the involvement of the Solicitor General. In fact, the Solicitor General was made to make a statement and housing finance. After I came up strongly and said, it's not Biandala alone. Biandala waited the couple, but the people who tested the blood at the Solicitor General, the side director, and the housing finance person. So therefore, for you, you have not dug out this information. Because in Uganda, many journalists have not done investigative journalism. The thieves, a thief with a barrel, a thief with a microphone is not easy to trap. Why? When he moves, he makes a noise. And as it is that people think that he's chasing a thief when he's the thief. So most of these thieves, they go to the media first and distort information. You're going to find out who is responsible. One, they gave a man, one of the legal officers in UNULA, $50,000 to travel to USA to ensure, to find out whether this was a credible company. If the president had decided, why did he have to go there? The man did not go. The housing finance people, guaranteed. We relied on the Solicitor General. The Solicitor General's office has capacity at the legal office, but you don't touch about these people. People would be saying the Solicitor General should go. No, the Solicitor General should go. The site director should go. No. Housing finance should refund our money. Don't you see that would be a sober argument in the media.
Don't you see that? That in itself also tarnish the presidency.
How?
Because his footprints are also seen.
No.
Now,
let me tell you.
Look at the standard gauge railways scandal.
Yes.
His footprints are there.
Let me tell you. Did it come? It started, the president has been insisting on road construction ever since he came, because he's an economist. President Museveni has been insisting on this railway, construction of roads, because as an economist, transport costs should be cheaper. The president, because of his insistence, 2 Chinese companies came. When they came, the issue was to rehabilitate the existing railway. But when the government got money, they said, no, let us construct, not rehabilitate, construct with the involvement of the army. The thieves were scared of the army. Thieves were scared of the army's involvement.
But
Two, wait. When the president met these people, said, now, we have money for construction. Let us forget about rehabilitation. They said it is a breach of contract. That when I bring you to paint my house, when you are a builder, I bring you to repair my house. And when I get money and I tell you, let us construct a new one, it is a breach of the earlier contract. What amazed me, that Solicitor General of yours had already written to the Chinese. And this is when the Chikobos jumped up on the bandwagon. Compensate us. The president was smart. He rang, because these are Chinese companies. Most of the thieves are not educated. These are not educated thieves. One day they went, the Solicitor General will end up in prison. If we get a hostile government, if we get a media that decided that the Solicitor General should go, that decided that the side director should go. But if we were misguided,
if the appointing authority does not want
misguided media. Now, These
People are
thieves,
being used.
These thieves did not know that these are Chinese government
Talk
companies.
about the kickback that was negotiated by the UPDF.
There was no kickback.
There are documented evidence where the president said that our compatriot,
that
Rosa
is,
Whittaker.
let me tell you, a bribe, you cannot say that a rapist, this man is a rapist. Why? She has taken the woman to officially to church. A thief cannot discuss any matter in the open. If it was a bribe, then it wouldn't have been discussed. How many bribes are discussed openly? A bribe means it involves a few people. When it comes to a discussion, it means it's not a bribe.
Are you not privy to documents as a
I
presidential
know, but I
spokesperson
know
where
the
the president talks
misguidance.
about
I know this issue that because
11 trillion
because
shillings
some
to go
of
to the
the,
UPDF
some of these
engineering
people
brigade.
who are agitating for power were once in government, and we are at that time they were saying they were super ministers. Today they are running away from responsibility. You know, they should be arrested first because they have created this mess. That's why me I cannot support Besigye. I cannot support Mbabazi. These were at one time very powerful in the government. They failed to rectify things. And some of the things you are talking about, they created, they participated in the they are as guilty as the president they want to run away from.
These are matters that you may not be privy to because you are still into the system. Even though you are privy to them, speaking on them will be you burning your fingers.
They have involved him in many things. You don't know how they operate. This the mafia group. The mafia group knows that they can run away by misinforming you people. Let me give you an example. They came and told him that they had identified investors in the summit. After 3 months, they said they have realized that we don't have enough materials for the 3 companies. Then they said they should compensate. The president said when you are compensating these people, it is accommodation and air ticket. They compensated the money 30 million. If you compensate a person the 30 million,
Uganda shillings or dollars?
No, dollars. How much do you use to start a factory? So instead of tackling these people, an argument would be, yes, you went with the president. You experts, how come that you did not first find out whether we had enough materials for the 3rd factory? 2, how much? Tell us. If the president says compensate, how much? Tell us. The media does not dig out to this. They are diverted. They talk to the, yes, you talk to the president. You talk to him. Why you experts, you don't even know their names?
Now, are you admitting that you have turned State House into a clearing agent?
I'm telling you, it is not wrong. It is not wrong. It is not wrong. Even in America, even everywhere, presidents are met by investors. That's a fact. If you wanted to see the president of the United States, in many cases, you go through lobbyists and pastors who have influence. It's not easy. So therefore, the problem they are making to you is that, may I call it, okweti kulira kumuntu. They have this habit of stealing. When they steal, they offload, they put the blame to Museveni and use the media and inform the media.
Stay with us now here in WBS Afternoon Edition. We'll be right back.
It looks good. No? With the difference. Come on, take her. Quickly!
Welcome back to WBS Afternoon Edition. Nigeria's President Goodluck Jonathan has vowed to defeat Boko Haram, the armed group that has killed thousands of people in his country's northeastern parts. Speaking in an interview with Al Jazeera, Goodluck Jonathan denied allegations that his government has mishandled the threat from this group. However, he also expressed fears about violence during the upcoming presidential elections, which were postponed because of a lack of security.
With less than 4 weeks to go until Nigeria's presidential election, President Goodluck Jonathan promised voters he will defeat Boko Haram.
We must end it. I'm only telling you the stages. First is to take over all the territories. When we take over all the territories, they are holding. They are becoming weaker. Now we'll improve our monitoring using superior technology to monitor the activities. Then we'll begin to pick them and of course frustrate the activities. So over the period, it will go.
And the president denied accusations his government has mishandled the Boko Haram crisis.
It's not a question of mishandling. Boko Haram didn't start with me.
President Jonathan is standing for re-election. The vote was postponed for 6 weeks because of violence in the northeast, where Boko Haram has been most active. We asked him whether the election date could be moved again.
I don't think so. I believe the elections will be conducted as scheduled by INEC. That is national elections, 28th of this month. I don't see why we should postpone again, because I'm quite impressed with the successes going on in the north. I will win the election.
But if you don't, will you step aside?
Huh?
I said, if you don't win this election, will you bow out gracefully?
If by default somebody wins the election, of course, I'll go to my village. The country is not my father's estate. I want to serve.
There are fears there could be election-related violence. More than 800 people were killed during the 2011 election.
I'm worried too, and I'm not happy. It's primitive, it's very, very unexpected, and we're doing everything to reduce it. We need to recalibrate our security architecture to handle these elections. Otherwise, some parts of this country could go into unnecessary crisis. Nobody's ambition, whether you want to be the president of this country or governor of a state or a senator or whatever, nobody's ambition is worth the blood of any Nigerian.
And many Nigerians say all they want is a fair and peaceful vote and an end to the Boko Haram attacks.
Now, the United States and Israel have showed signs of seeking to diffuse tensions ahead of speech by the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Washington, where he will warn against a possible nuclear deal with Iran. Policy differences over the negotiations with Iran remained firm. However, as Netanyahu arrived in the U.S. on Sunday afternoon for a speech to Congress, which has imperiled ties between the two allies, Israel fears that the U.S. President Barack Obama's Iran diplomacy, with an end of March deadline for a framework accord, will allow its ARC-4 to develop atomic weapons, something Tehran denies seeking.
You can't hide! We can see your racist side!
Delegates to this year's conference of the US's most powerful Israeli lobby group, AIPAC, were greeted by a small, resolute group of protesters. And the police were determined to keep these opponents to Israeli government policy outside on the freezing pavement. In recent weeks, opposition to the Israeli Prime Minister has surfaced elsewhere in Washington, amongst politicians who've always been his staunch defenders. Benjamin Netanyahu's decision to address a joint session of Congress without consulting the Obama administration has led to a rare debate about the nature of the US-Israeli relationship. US politicians were on hand to give the audience what they wanted.
As we negotiate with the Iranians, they have toppled 4 Arab capitals. What would they do with sanction relief money? Do you think they would build schools and hospitals? Given their behavior today, they're likely to invest in their military to wreak more havoc.
Last week, the US Secretary of State belittled the Israeli Prime Minister's foreign policy judgment. But on Sunday, John Kerry asked Israel for the benefit of the doubt in its negotiations with Iran and emphasized the US's closeness to Israel.
I was reviewing the record the other day. We have intervened on Israel's behalf in the last 2 years more than a couple of hundred times in over 75 different fora in order to protect Israel.
But for some US supporters of Benjamin Netanyahu, that carries little weight. One group published this full-page advert in the New York Times on Saturday. It attacks President Obama's national security advisor, Susan Rice, and suggests a divide between her and the US ambassador to the UN, Samantha Power. Both are speaking at AIPAC on Monday. Such shows of disrespect to the Obama administration have intensified opposition to Benjamin Netanyahu within the Democratic Party, but it remains unclear how deep a shift is occurring in Washington. Only some 30 congressional Democrats out of 232 have said they will not be attending Mr. Netanyahu's address to Congress on Tuesday.
We now move on to Russia, and opposition supporters there have started marching through Moscow in memory of Kremlin critic Boris Nemtsov, whose murder has increased concern about Russia's future among opponents of President Vladimir Putin. Nemtsov, aged 55, one of Russia's most vocal critics of Putin's policies, was set to lead a rally in the Russian capital before he was gunned down on a bridge just hundreds of meters from the Kremlin. Following his death, co-organizers cancelled the rally and instead called for a demonstration of solidarity with the slain opposition leader. The city gave quick approval for a gathering of up to 50,000 people, in contrast to its usual slow and grudging permission for opposition rallies.
Boris Nemtsov hoped Sunday's rally would be a re-energizing of Russia's dispirited opposition movement. Certainly the crowd was vast, bigger than any anti-Kremlin march for years. But Nemtsov was not here to see it, and his murder, arguably, is the main reason so many people came.
We came to protest because they killed a man who was telling the truth. We think the authorities' actions are a travesty of justice. A man was killed for telling the truth.
I came because Boris was killed, and not only because of that, because we need to fight. We cannot live like this. I look around and I want to shout, "People, I love you."
Nemtsov's face was everywhere. The bullets that killed him, said this banner, were meant for all of us. But also present were thousands of Russian flags, a political statement itself in an era when opposition leaders like Nemtsov are vilified on TV as traitors and fifth columnists. And despite some anti-Putin chanting, this was a somber event, mostly quiet and well-behaved. But included in the 50 or so arrests, a Ukrainian MP, Alexei Goncharenko, detained on suspicion of involvement in an Odessa fire last March that killed at least 40 pro-Russian demonstrators. Big anti-Kremlin marches are a rarity these days, with freedom of assembly so tightly controlled by the authorities. The challenge for Russia's opposition now is whether it can turn the emotion generated by Boris Nemtsov's murder into a re-energized push for political change.
That's all we have for you in the WBS Afternoon edition. For more of the sporting action, and CKM Izanyo is coming right up next. I am Anita Mwangazi. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.